Hello and welcome to the It's Your Effin' Journey podcast. I'm your host, Melissa McQueenie, / Melissa Hemming, I guess I should say at this point. And if a life coach and a therapist had a baby, you get me. So without further ado, what time is it? Podcast time. It's a celebration. What time is it? Podcast time. So today I am so excited to bring back Rebecca Elyse. She was here with us on, I had to look it up, November 18th, Galloping Toward Healing. She shared her story, her inspirational story about her divorce and her journey with writing a book and being on her own with her amazing farm and animals and all of that. And I wanted to have her back because we sort of touched upon her early dating stories. But I had only been in my journey with my divorce for a little while at that point. So I wanted to bring her back to have a conversation about what that looks like. And I just have so much fun chatting with her. So I know you guys will enjoy this episode, and I hope you really get something out of it and at least just enjoy it. I wanted to also share the information about our community. Our podcast community is housed in Facebook now, and we have started with our book club in January. We are reading Badass Habits by Jen Sincero and just sharing our takeaways in there. Also, in February, we are going to start reading The Let Them Theory together. I was going to start this in January in our book club, but a lot of people are having trouble getting the book. You can still access it on Audible, and I've actually started listening to it, but I also want to read it. It's so good. So get the book on Amazon and join us in February for our book club. We're going to be reading a personal development book all year together. Also, my life coach spots are open. I am getting a lot of people that are interested in the 2025 clarity calls. So I'm going to continue those. Maybe even into February if y'all are still interested. The clarity calls is just a one-time call to hone in on where you've been and where you want to go. So if you're interested in that, I'm going to pop the link in the show notes. And I hope you love the episode. Thanks for being here, and don't forget to share with a friend. Hello.
Hey.
We have Becca back. I'm so excited for this. Obviously, like, when I asked you to be on the podcast the first time, it was because of that reel that I saw and was so inspired about your story and your divorce and all of that. And I loved our conversation. So naturally, that now that my life has sort of shifted to the very same outcome, well, similar but different, I was like, I got to have you back so we can, first of all, get an update on what's going on with you, because you have so many exciting things happening. And, just to have more of a chat. I want to talk about dating too, right? We've talked about that. Like, yeah. So tell us everything. Tell us like what has been going on since we heard from you last.
Oh man, so much. But first I'd like to say thank you for inviting me back. I enjoyed our conversation last time so much. It felt like I was talking to a friend, so I'm so excited to be here again. So we talked past October, and I feel like that's such a lifetime ago.
Was it really October?
I think it was. I think we recorded in October, I'm pretty
That's
sure.
insane.
Yeah, and so much is different. I moved out of my RV, which was so bittersweet. Because as I said, like I was living with my best friend and leaving was so hard. And then now I'm on my own. I mean, they're still around and I still have all my friends and all that, but
Yeah.
the house is quiet for sure, except for all the animals. But so yeah, that was the main thing is I finally was able to get moved in. I've been in for about 3 weeks. So I'm still in just complete chaos. My house is in complete chaos. Boxes are everywhere. But yeah, so that's been my main thing. I'm still working. I still have everybody. I actually added a dog too.
I saw that. That's so adorable.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I was missing we had German Shepherds together, and I really just missed having one of my German Shepherds, and So my heart was like, oh, I kind of want it, but we got him from the pound. So I just went to the pound one day and out came Atlas, and he's not a German Shepherd. He's like a Husky Shepherd mix. And, man, he's fit right in. So it's been great.
Oh,
But, I was just like, why did I add to the chaos of my life? But that's what I do.
that's what animal lovers do, right? There's never
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah. So, and like he was like the final piece. Like I feel like I'm kind of at my limit, but everyone's settling in and, we're doing well. So it's good.
So
I'm
what
writing
does
like,
this look like for you now? So you're what, like a half hour from your friend that you were living at?
yeah, like 25, half
Okay.
hour. Um, so, I've been trying, I've been settling a lot. So it's been kind of like hit or miss when we can see each other, but we have a group chat going. I talk to them all the time. I talk to her all the time. So, and as I get more settled, I'll feel like I'll be able to be like, okay, now I can go run over. And because right now I just feel like I have so much to do. And she, like,
Yeah.
it's been all understanding from her side. Like, she's like, oh, yeah, you need to get your house together. But
Yeah.
I am going to see her tonight and, head on over there and hang out for a little bit. So, but
So
that's
how do you
good.
feel now that you're on your own? Like, how does that feel?
It feels good. It feels so good. It feels empowering. I sometimes have a tendency to like go in my little cave and
Yeah.
hermit a bit. And it was easier for her to pull me out of that. So I'm working really hard to not be like, I'm in my little cave of
Yeah.
nothing, but so I'm working really hard to stay as social as I've been because I really do enjoy being social. But it feels good. Like I worry about a lot of stuff and I probably over worry. I think that's just, how I live my life. But um it feels so good to be like, this is my house, this is my property. Like I can do whatever I want with it. And it's just everything in this house is so girly. I have like pink and glitter and teal and turquoise
Oh, I love that.
everywhere. Yeah, there's a lot of pink in here, a lot of glitter in here, but I love it. It's a girl's haven. Like, I'm pretty sure any woman who comes in my house is going to be like, I feel at home here. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so it's going good.
Oh, I love that. I mean, like, and I can't wait before we started recording, I let, Becca know my husband is moving out next week, which obviously is all the feelings, but I'm so excited for that, like, peace and that ability just to, I mean, obviously I have kids, so like there's an element of it's not entirely my space, but I still get to make the decisions for it. I still get to, make the decisions for myself. And I think that that is just such a nice change.
Yeah. When you're living like in an unpeaceful situation, when you finally get to that peace, it's just so just like comforting. So
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am excited. I'm
Yeah.
excited for that for sure. That's my word of the year is peace. So everything that I'm trying to do has to do with peace. And am I taking steps towards feeling that?
Yeah, I think that
Because
should
I
be
can be
everyone's.
rather unpeaceful myself. So I have to like choose that. It's not just
Yeah.
others, it's me. Like,
Yeah. Make that decision for peace. And I agree wholeheartedly. Like everyone should just always live their life trying to be peaceful.
yes, it's just so much nicer.
Yes. Yep.
And even in this transition period, because for the most part we do really well with it, but like when it's not peaceful, I'm like, remember, because I've shared with him, I'm like, that is my number one thing. I want to feel peace. So like, can we do that?
Yeah.
And we will check in with each other about that. And he'll ask me like, do you feel peaceful? And I'm like, yes. Thank you
Oh
for
my God, this
checking
sounds
in
like a
about that.
healthy separation. Like,
It's
where did you find
it
that? Where
has
did you
its
find a healthy
moments.
separation?
I there are moments that I'm like, we're so good at this, and then there's moments I'm like, we're a total shit show. But I think in being a therapist, there is some element of me cultivating those relationships and those discussions, and it's just, well, I mean, it's not all other people, but if they're willing to sort of meet me there, and it obviously depends on what's going on too. Like we're all having our own emotions with this and our own experiences, and obviously this is sort of my choosing, not my husband. So, you know, he's entitled to whatever he feels like he has to feel, but it is nice that we can sometimes join or oftentimes join on the same page to, be working
Yeah.
towards the same goal. Um
Oh yeah, that's so great.
so when we talked the last time, you had touched upon sort of dating and, you know I can't even remember. I should have listened back to the episode, but like you had and we didn't really harp on it, right? Because that wasn't part of the story that we were telling then. But I've been wanting to touch on this now, because this is sort of, I'm not dating, but I'm, a little bit out there, and it's like the wild. It's literally the
Yes.
wild. And
Oh my God.
I'm like, I need to have her back so that we can dive into this, because now I think this is just so interesting. And I feel like women who are back where I was when we first talked, October, and obviously the women who, even before that, or now, need to know what's out there because it's fucking crazy.
It's so hard out here. Okay, so backtracking through the last year, I kind of touched on it the last episode where, I felt the need to rush out and meet someone because you
Yeah.
can do it. So can I. Like, he was in a relationship for 3 years while he was married. Heck, I can be married, technically, separated, and go date. Biggest mistake. And like, not really a mistake, just a learning experience. Let's call it that.
Yes.
Let's put a little positive spin
Yeah.
on that. And the poor guy that it didn't go well. So, and I think the first couple months, I think you're just like, you kind of have a wild hair up your ass. Like, I think you're just like, I can do whatever I want. I have no rules. And it feels good at the time. And then you're like, oh, maybe not. But then, over the course, I feel like that last year I learned so much about myself and what I will accept from a man. And as I've learned and grown over the last year, that has dwindled down to who I'll actually like give my time to. Because like it's not great. And I toyed with the dating apps for sure. And I'm kind of getting off of them. I'm still on like Facebook dating, but I like deleted Bumble and Hinge because it just I I wholeheartedly believe that my future probably doesn't do the dating apps. That's in my head. Maybe it's not true, and I'm not saying like, because I've done them, I do them. So I'm not saying you can't, but I feel like meeting someone in the wild is such a more like a better experience. And also I'm just exhausted of telling someone what I do for a living, like
I
just over and
know.
over
It's
and over
so
again.
dry and bland
Yeah.
and annoying, and like I never want to be in the app. Like so I'm like, "Oh shit, I better go into that app again." And then I'm like, "Oh, there's all these like conversations that are really annoying," right?
It's so annoying. And I'm like, I don't even want to have this conversation with you. Why? And like sometimes it feels like a game. Like, and I joke, I'm like, it's just a game on my phone at this point. Like, it's just fun. It's like, oh, swipe,
Yeah.
swipe, swipe. It's like, and, none of the people that I've met on them have ever been like, oh my God, I see a future. It's never been that way. And, the ones that make it to like actually getting my phone number, I think, and whew, the ones that actually get a date, like I think the last one I dated, like I was this close to a restraining order. So it
God.
just, oh my
Why? What
God.
happened?
Okay, story time. Uh,
Yes.
so back in like August, I met this guy online. I don't remember which app, but like we are chatting and like we got along really well. And like if you can hold a conversation with me and not just be like, I go to work and I go home, da, 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 like just don't be boring pretty much. Like if you can
Yeah.
actually hold a conversation with me, fine, let's go. So we actually chatted really well and it was going really well. So went on like one or two dates and then I went to Montana and it kind of felt like it was fizzling out. So whatever, I kind of just let it go. And then he kind of came back, We went on a couple more dates. It got a little intimate, and there was a family party, and he came to the family party, and just his behavior at the family part, he was just like not horrible, but he was attached to my hip, which I'm fine with to a point, but like don't go make friends. Like I don't need you
Yeah.
to be, because I'm talking to my friends, and like when you're in that kind of situation, I feel like the men go over here, the women go over here, and we all kind of have our fun, and you're there together, but also like talking to other people. Like that never happened. Like he was attached to my hip, and like in front of children, like teen girls, he asked me what we were.
Oh my God.
And I was like, I'm just sitting there in like shock because these two teen girls who are like 12 who think this is the funniest thing that's ever happened to them in their life. I'm like, I'm going to be on the internet. I'm going to be on the internet. And so, and that was, and then like, I'm talking to my friends, like we're outside at this point, and I'm talking to my friends about like my book, about business ideas, because these are my friends. We talk about these things. We talk about goals and what we're doing. He comes up and starts rubbing my shoulders. Like, weirdly, like deeply, and I'm just like, no touchy. I'm not big on like touching in public anyways,
Yeah.
but like, I felt like I was having like kind of an important conversation with my friends, and he was like demeaning it a bit. So it was just this whole thing, and then he left early. Like, I was having a couple beers with my friends, and this guy comes over, and like, he's just a family friend. Like I don't see him as that at all. And he actually has a girlfriend, but the guy I was with didn't know that. And he left pretty much immediately after this guy showed up because he got kind of uncomfortable. And I was like, you left the girl you're interested with drinking with this guy? Like that doesn't make it make sense. So it just
Yeah.
like horrible. Like it didn't go well. So I was like, okay, we're done with this guy. And I also remember waking up with him one morning, and I just wanted him out of my house. Like, I was like, oh, you want to talk, and I want to scroll TikTok and drink my coffee in peace. Like, get out of my
Yeah.
house. So it obviously, I just like kind of kicked him to the curb. And I didn't and on me, I didn't communicate it very well. I kind of was like, I just need like some space. And I didn't, and I shouldn't have said it. I should have been like, we're done. But, and then so a month went by. I was actually talking to other people, and he pops up inviting me to something. And I was like, hey, like, I'm like, this isn't gonna continue. I'm so sorry. Blah, 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 blah. Showed up at my house that night. I was at work, and he dropped off a present for me with a letter that wasn't really a love letter, but it was the letter. So, okay. And, you know, I did not message him that night. I was like, let me just absorb this, think about this, and I'll message him tomorrow. Thank him for the gift. Tell him we're not going to be together. Move on with my life. He messaged me before I could even like think about it, and was just like paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs. And I was like, I can't. So I told him bluntly at this point, I was like, I'm not interested. Please leave me alone at this point. Oh, and he also was like, I'm coming to your house at like 7 o'clock that night. And I was like, no, you're not. No, we're not doing this. And so he did not show up, thankfully. So I thought it was done, was blunt, we're done. 2 days later, I'm in the tattoo chair getting a tattoo. Like just, and he messages me more paragraphs. And I'm just like, Jesus. And I was like, I can't even read this.
What
I
did
give
he
the family.
want? He wanted like a relationship?
Yeah, he wants to, like, this man was probably thinking marriage at this point because
Holy
he
shit.
just mentioning like we're a Hallmark movie, crap like that. And I'm just like, oh, stop. Like, you've known me for like 2 or 3 months, dude. Like I'm not that great. Like, not, I mean, I am, but like,
Yeah.
I'm not that great. But and then the tattoo artist is chiming in on what I need to do. And I simply just put like, please stop messaging me. And so that happened. And then, I don't know, 2 weeks later, I get a Facebook because I thought I had blocked him already because he was like trying to get on my TikTok, trying to get on my private TikTok, which definitely was not a place for him. And, just trying to follow all my social media. And I was like, block, 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 block. And I guess I missed Facebook Messenger somehow. I don't even know how that happened. He sends me a 6-minute video of himself talking to the camera. He's on some trip with his friends. And I was like, did your friends I would like to know if your friends thought this was a good idea. I would really like to have some input on that. But yeah, so he's like sipping whiskey and telling me, and I think it is such a gag when men bring my book into this, like, I don't want to be just a chapter in your book. I want to be the
Oh
entire
my
story. And I'm like, ooh, like, please stop. Yeah, I've heard that line multiple times when I tell men about my
I
book. They're
don't
like,
want to
well,
be a chapter in your book. I want to be the entire story.
And that just makes me gag. I'm just like, oh my
Uh,
God. Like, no. And like, oh, so, and I was like, bro, and he, like, in the letter, he was like, I can't wait to have your book on my shelf. And I was like, you probably don't want to read this book. You probably don't. So, it's hard out here. So, just, and that's
so,
why, like,
so do you have rules about like how quickly you start talking to someone versus when you meet them in person?
I, I do go off the feel. Like, there's some guys who I was like, I'll meet you pretty quickly. And then there's others, and like a lot of them, because the problem with like online dating, especially Facebook's like, I don't care. Here's a guy in Canada for you. And I'm like,
Yeah,
what are we doing? Like,
yeah,
I'm like, that's never gonna happen. And so, yeah, I like to chat and get a vibe. And there are like a lot of things where I'm like, nope. Like, if you talk about sex within 48 hours of, or 24 hours of like messaging me on an app, oh, we're not ever meeting. Like,
yeah.
I had one guy and like kind of recently, and we were chatting, and I was like, oh, we're chatting really well. He's not that far away. Like, maybe we could, and then like, he got my phone number, and that night he was talking about like my legs and stuff, and I was like, you don't actually have never seen my legs, first of all. So like, please, it just makes me feel weird, and it makes me feel uncomfortable. Like, oh, if I meet up with you, you're you want to have sex with me, and that's all. And I'm past that point. Like, I think 6 months ago, heck yeah, let's go. But now I'm kind of a year out from my divorce and all that. I'm not really looking for hookups anymore. I'm looking for something maybe a little bit more permanent, which is such a weird area to be in because I'm also like, how can I ever let anyone in? Because my life, it's just
Yeah,
hard to imagine letting someone in right now, especially in my Barbie dream house. Like, don't come into my Barbie dream house. So it's a weird balance. So
yeah.
I think I went on one horrible date like 3 weeks ago because I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna be strong, and I'm gonna go on a date. And this man showed up in joggers. So there's
Oh,
that. Yeah. So it's hard because now I have a lot more rules. Um, and they're being, and I'm living my life being like, my future husband doesn't say that. So bye. Like,
yeah.
and so, and maybe I'm doing it a little too much. I don't know. I don't know what's right. And I don't think anyone does really.
No. And so you had so you are sort of similar to me because I feel like a feral animal right now. Like I just want to have sex.
Right.
And but that is even proving to be very challenging, which is like mind-boggling to me that like I'm almost where you're at of like fuck all of you, right? And
Yes.
but I feel like I've been like in it for like a minute. But I'm all set. Like I'm all set. Like
Yeah.
if you can't communicate, if you can't um just be like upfront and I'm gonna go back to communicate. Like if you can't communicate, I can't hang with you. Like
Exactly.
I need someone who has an emotional intelligence, even if it's just sex.
Right. And that's the thing where it's like, I'm very good at being friends with men. Like I grew up working, I was a fireman for a couple years. And so I grew up kind of around guys. I've had guy friends that were platonic, like no sexual anything. I know how to talk to guys, like as a buddy. So like if we're just doing the buddy buddy thing and just having sex, like I know how to do that.
Yeah.
But you also can't just be a blank wall of nothing. Like why would I give my time and my body to someone
Yes.
who's just like one
Yes.
emotionally immature? Like I can't do, and I don't know what's wrong with men lately, but like I can't, like if I'm more of a dude than you, like you're not gonna have sex with me. Like you're
No.
just not. Like, and I it's kind of hard when I like own a farm and I do all these kind of manly things by myself, but I need you to match my energy,
Yes.
because I can't be the one who's like, oh no, I'll go lift all these heavy feed bags while you sit inside and play video games or whatever. Like I can't, that energy has to be matched. So
Yeah.
it's hard, and there was one man, because like New Year's felt very, and it's kind of cliche, but just refreshing for me. It definitely felt like I was closing a page. So I had been like kind of watching this guy at the bar that night, and I was like, fuck it. I mean, liquid courage as well. Fuck it. I'm gonna go walk up to that guy. And I did. And it went great. We exchanged numbers. It was fantastic. I was like, look at me. I'm
Oh,
so
good
proud of
for
myself.
you.
And within 24 hours, I was like, you're not the one. And I kind of told him that. And he was so upset. And I was like, dude, like, why? Like, this is what dating is like, wouldn't you rather I know within 24 hours if you're the one or not? Like, you're not the you're not the guy for me. Like, and he just was so, I don't want to say girly, but he was. I was like, you're acting like I should be acting. But I'm just like, bro, it's fine. Like, we can be friends. Like, I don't mind. Like, I just don't think this is gonna work. And just like some of the reactions I get to that, I'm just like, what's like, grow a pair, dude. Like, let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
So it's hard. But yeah, definitely matching energies, and just kind of definitely I was not great at picking and choosing the first few months. I definitely was like, I want attention because I've been attention deprived.
Yes.
And I also just want to have some sex, because
Yeah.
you realize very quickly that sex wasn't just like, when sex isn't a chore, it's fun. So,
Yeah.
it's hard. It's hard.
It really is. And, so my first experience, I guess it's a situationship, which I didn't even know situationships existed. I didn't know what they were.
Yeah.
But I was pursued heavily and like ongoing. And it did. It felt really, really good, especially when you're coming from a situation where you don't feel that energy. And, but then like to feel like you're prey and then that person has like sort of won you and then the energy dwindles. I'm like, you're a dick. Like you're a really big dick to
Hmm.
pursue someone who you know is sort of going through all of this shit and then not communicate.
Yeah. Yes. And that's, I had some heavy pursuers. And what's funny is once it's out in the world that you are back on the market, um, men come out of the woodwork. I'm sure it
And
sounds
like
like you've
offer
experienced.
help, like with like random shit. I'm like, I don't need help.
Oh, that's true. And I'm just like, no, I got this. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Like one guy, like I remember one guy that I did sleep with, he wanted to help me with my truck or whatever. And I was just like, what? Like, and that's how the conversation started. And it's weird because it's like, oh, like you're single now, like, and his friends were talking to me. I was like, oh my God, like all of them came out of the woodwork. It's crazy, and it's just like the energy is so high, and then it's just, and it just sometimes it's just not worth it. But
Yeah.
and it it's so fun at first, and then it gets exhausting.
Well, and so I think my takeaway from that situation, what, because I mean, obviously, like we can't control other people, we can only control ourselves. So I always am like analyzing, like, what could I do better? Because I know that
Mhm.
I know that I communicated effectively, like ongoing. But I think where I went wrong was not talking about what I needed and wanted.
Mhm.
And that's something that I'm going to take moving forward. Like, whatever the situation is, if there is someone that comes along that I do feel like I could have a sexual relationship with, because that's all I can sort of handle right now. But it would have to be someone who could handle that. And I honestly thought this person could. So it was like a really big disappointment. But I don't know, like, maybe I just need to take some time. And I don't know, like, if you've gotten to, like, or how long it took you to get to that point of, like, I want sex and then I don't want anything.
I don't even know. Like,
Yeah.
and it's so hard because I always view myself as a relationship girl. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of people view me because it was kind of shocking. Like the men that knew me while I was married were like, I had no idea that you were like, you know, not just a relationship girly. Cause I'm not like, have had encounters where I was not in a relationship. But I am deep down like, I totally see myself getting married again. I totally see myself allowing to be loved correctly. But I'm gonna have, that saying where it's like have fun with the wrong ones until the right one comes along. But it is hard because I do think emotions get involved in having a long-term kind of like fuck buddy. Um, it would be really hard for me to not have emotional attachments.
Yeah. Do
So
you think casual sex is a thing? Do you think that people can have casual sex?
I think no. I think
I
feelings
know.
always get in the way. I think someone always gets hurt. Especially long term. Like if it's
Is casual sex possible? You'll have to find out next week with part 2. I am so grateful for you for being here. Please share this episode with a friend, share it on your stories, send me your biggest takeaways, and we'll see you next week for part 2. Have a great week.